Hey, good morning to everybody. Happy Wednesday. It's Daryl here. It is bright and freaking early, man. You know it. It's 3:15 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. I already knew what story I was going to do this morning. All right, and one quick note. In yesterday's video, I talked about how I gained weight in recovery, and I said I was up to 280 pounds. I don't think I told you guys. I said I was going to the doctor yesterday, and that's the reason I did the video. Well, I went to the doctor. Everything's great. I didn't tell you my weight right now. I'm about 6'3", and I was 194 pounds yesterday. I'd gone down to 185 at my leanest. But here's something I noticed. As I get older, you have to choose between two things. If I go down to 185, I look worse because my skin, at 57 years old, it gets more wrinkled, and you see more wrinkles. So the more weight I have to balance it out, kind of. The more weight I have, it fills in the wrinkles, so I don't look quite as old. So it's a balance between being a little heavier, but not having as much wrinkles, as if anybody cares about that. All right. The reason I'm making this video so early today is because yesterday, I knew about this story yesterday. This is not going to be the all BAM channel all the time. I want to say that. I did not want to do two BAM videos back to back. I didn't want to do that to my viewers. Some people, it's getting more views than usual, but I just did not. Like I said, I don't want to make this the all BAM channel. The reason I am talking about this guy is for two reasons. I have been clean and sober since 2016, October 23rd. And recovery is possible. Not only possible, but this is the best life. I could have never imagined how good my life is right now. I feel the most social, the most motivated, the most prosperous, the most happy I have ever been in my life right now in recovery. I haven't touched alcohol. Well, if you go back, I had one sip of alcohol about 10 years ago. Literally one sip. I've been clean and sober for 16 and a half years. If you go back to the video, I lied. You'll see what I'm talking about. Type in artist in recovery. I lied. You'll hear that story. Okay, BAM. The reason I'm talking about this guy is because I am watching myself. It is me. This is me. I was 40 years old when I finally managed to accomplish become clean and sober. My life was a mess. I've talked about this before, about how my life literally felt like a nightmare. Every day, I dreaded every day. It's like, I cannot do this another day. It was just it's a full-time job, looking for drugs, looking for money. I would wake up, you know how you have a nightmare? And a lot of times if you guys have a nightmare, you wake up and there's that second where all of a sudden you realize it seems so real, but all of a sudden you realize that was a dream. It's not real, and you get that sigh of relief. Oh, thank God that's not my life. My life was the opposite. I swear to God, when I would wake up, I would all of a sudden get this feeling of dread that I would actually wake up into the nightmare every morning. That's what my life felt like. I'm not kidding, swear to God. Okay, BAM. The reason I'm talking about this guy is he is literally me. He is me. I see what I look like. Okay, like I said yesterday, I already knew this yesterday, but I didn't want to I wanted to wait till today, so I didn't do two back-to-back BAM videos. I talked about how, there was the initial report. BAM did the video where he said he was going to smoke himself into oblivion if he didn't get to see his kids, which was not the way to see your kids if you want to see your kids. And then he was seen arm wrestling. He was videotaped arm wrestling and drinking. Well, he wasn't actually seen drinking, but there was alcohol on the table, and he was acting like he was intoxicated. To me, he looked like he'd been drinking. And he was arm wrestling another guy in Pennsylvania. And then he disappeared somewhere between Pennsylvania and LA, which, being an addict, I know the times I disappeared were the times I was using. When I had drugs or money, I did not want to be found. I did not want to be found. I would lock myself away and not contact anybody. And then when I ran out of money and drugs, I would surface again because I was in withdrawals, because I needed money, because I was panicking. just a horrific life. And then Bam's brother put out a Twitter APB. That's the last video I did, where he disappeared. And the last thing was that he turned up finally in LA. Now, Bam has been led. I looked just this morning to see if there's any update on this, because this news keeps coming every day, and there's been no update on this. Last I knew, Bam is in LA on a 5150 hold. That's a mental health hold. That means he's either a danger to himself or other people, and he has been for up to 72 hours without his consent. He has been locked away in a mental health facility. This happened. I had been locked away in mental health facilities 13 times. So the detoxes I went to were locked detoxes. I'll talk about this. This is what I'm saying. This guy is me. I have been this guy. Except with me, I actually found it a relief that I was put into the lockdown detoxes. Okay, so that's the latest news, is that he is for up to 72 hours you can be held here without your consent, by order of a judge, held in a lockdown facility, mental health facility. I was in three different facilities. Two of them were hospitals: Bristol Hospital in Connecticut and St. Francis Hospital in Hartford, Connecticut. One of them, which was the worst one, which was just a money mill, really, was it's called ADRC, Alcohol and Drug Rehabilitation Centers in Hartford, and it was they didn't really have any rules. There was people actually dealing in the cafeteria area that I saw. I actually saw this. This is back in 2005. I don't know now. I don't know how things are now, but I'll tell you how things were then. Okay, like I said, I've been in these facilities 13 times. The facilities I was in were locked down. You could not leave. The doors shut behind you. You know the Pink Floyd song, "There's No Way Out of Here"? When you come in, you're in for good. That's the song that used to go through my head. And I would go to the hospital and tell them about, usually when I was out of money, people were chasing me, my house was a mess, my relationships were a mess, everything, there was no hope of getting any money. I would go to I'd go to one of these places. This is what I don't know, this is kind of manipulative, but I learned after the first time, I had attempted to do away with myself, and it failed. I came home one night and I had been smoking rock like MARGERA. I also had been taking Xanax, which the one drug that reacts very badly with me. I tend to get suicidal. I don't know why. And I had an old two-floor house, and it was very, very thin stairway going up. It was like pine floors, pine plank floors. At one time when I was high one day, I decided, this is before this, I decided to polish the floors with polish. Not very smart. And then later, a couple of days later, I came home and I was just, everything was a mess in my life. Like I said, I've been smoking, I've been taking Xanax, and I decided to do away with myself. And I got I had a bathrobe, a terry cloth bathrobe, and I got the tie, and I made something to go around my neck. I went up to the second floor right above. There was a hole where you go up into the attic. That's the only place I could figure to get myself up. And I got a chair and I put it on the pine floor, right at the very top of the stairs. And I got a broomstick. I opened up the attic space. And I didn't tell anybody about this. This is one of the times when I actually attempted it. And I put the broomstick up there. And I tied the bathroom tie around the broomstick so it was held on up in the attic. I got up onto the wooden chair, and I remember sitting there crying, and the next minute I knew that the chair I was standing on slid because the floor was so slick, because a few days before when I was high I polished the floor. And the chair went flying down the stairs, and I just smacked into the pine floor. I didn't go down the stairs, thank God, or else I would have succeeded in my attempt. and I just slammed into the floor. And I remember just laying there in a fetal position, crying. It was scary. It made me angry because I couldn't even, because I couldn't succeed in what I was trying to do. By an act of God, by the act of my own stupidity, I was saved. I went into a lockdown facility. At this time, I'd go to the hospital and they put you in observation for a while. You go in and they put you in pretty much a bare room, and they go in and talk to you and see where your mental state is, your whole situation. And then usually, this is the worst part of it, is where you sit in an observation. It's like a fish tank. There's like 4 or 5 beds. Sometimes it's just a single room with a window. There's a window where they can watch you all the time. In a couple hospitals, there's people walking by in the emergency room, and they could look into the fish tank and see you laying there being observed. They do this so you don't hurt yourself. And after about, it could be from 3 to 4 hours up to 12 hours, you stay in this room, and they'll decide whether or not you really are, you are serious, and they'll get you a bed. Then they finally give you treatment. Like I would be in withdrawals, and I'd be just praying that they would give me methadone. Like I said, once those doors, you go up into the floor, the lockdown facility, you do not come back out. With me, because I put myself in there, I could ask to see a doctor. And it takes a while for a doctor. Doctors usually come just once in the morning, make rounds, see how people are doing. And you could request to get out. I think it's called AMA, against medical advice. And because I put myself in there, and if the doctor, if you sit down with him and bull him enough, you might be able to get yourself released before 72 hours. But you're in there. These are locked metal doors. You are not leaving. They call it dual diagnosis. It's both mental health and drugs, or a combination of the both. And so when I was in there with people who didn't use drugs too, that didn't use any drugs, that were like bipolar or schizophrenic. I'm not proud of the person I was back then. I remember not being so nice to the people with mental health problems. I didn't understand at that point, like being bipolar. One minute you're talking to somebody, they're laughing, and the next minute they're crying. And let me just say, I was more focused on my own problems, and I regret how I treated some of the people back then. And then some of the people did not treat me so well either. There was one time when I was in the cafe, in the lunch area, and I heard a ruckus, and there was one of the mental health, and it was a big guy that he was put in there under a mental health hold. And he was backing away from like 3 of the guys in white clothes, the white jackets. And so I'm like, I got to get out of here. So I tried to go through the door as they were coming in. And the guy grabbed me, and he grabbed me by the neck and got me in a stranglehold. So he was holding me hostage against the 3 guys by the neck, holding back, saying, don't come near me, and I just stayed calm. And I was like, this is all I need, I'm in here for all my problems, and this guy's holding me hostage. And I was considering just doing a headbutt, and because I was just calm, he just let me go. The head of the hospital took me down and talked to me that day. The hospital, I think, was very scared that I was going to sue them. And once they were satisfied that I wasn't going to press any charges, I just wanted to let it be in the past. They let me go back up to my room. There was another time where I felt so bad for this kid. This young kid came in, and his wrists were bandaged. He had tried to do away with himself. And the first thing, I'm laying on the couch with my friends. Usually I made friends pretty quickly in there. And he came in, we're like, hey, what's up, new guy, and he's got his wrist bandage. He tried to off himself, and he starts talking about his stepfather and all his problems and everything. And then he says, guys, where's the stairs? How do I get out of here? Where's the door out of here? And we just all started laughing and laughing and laughing. Where's the stairs? There are no stairs. There is no way out of here. You come in, you're in for good. It wasn't the nicest thing looking back, but we just got the biggest kick out of this. Where's the stairs? This kid didn't get it. He was in there and he was not leaving there until they decided he was going to leave there. He thought he was going to sneak out the back stairs, and that was just the funniest thing we had heard all day. Like I said, I'm not proud of who I was back then. One of the two hospitals were fantastic places. One of them, St. Francis, kept me after the initial 7 days. I had this Romanian doctor, and she decided to keep me for 30 days. And that's where it was a new facility, St. Francis Rehab. And they had an art room. They had it was a brand new floor. The food was fantastic. Even though you couldn't leave, it was you were busy all day with meetings. They had the art room. I think they had a music program, and this was just in the detox, in the dual diagnosis facility. And this is where I first got interested in art for the very first time when I was in there. I had been a draftsman in my earlier years, and we were in there one day. I was in there with about 10 other guys, all recovering from drugs. And they told us to draw or paint whatever we wanted. They gave us like acrylic paints. And I started painting, and I realized I had a talent for it. And once I got clean and sober, within a few months, I went to an art store and bought the supplies. I remember the first time I bought supplies, I was hesitant just to spend $2.50 on a tiny little canvas because I didn't think I would be very good at it. I thought it was going to be a waste of money. And now I'm buying canvases that are like 6 feet by 6 feet, and they go for $90. And I'm actually selling my artwork for good money. Life is good. Okay, I wrote down some of the stuff I wanted to talk about here. That's most of it. Like I said, recovery is possible. I hope Bam gets the help he needs. Once he's in this facility, it's like I said, it's locked down. He's not going to leave there until the doctors decide that he's no longer a threat to himself. It's not the best place to stay, but it's not the worst either. When you're living the life I was living, trying, with every day being a nightmare, it actually was a good place to go to. I didn't have to worry about drugs, even though I used as soon as I left. While I was in there, drugs were not an option. I couldn't get drugs. I was locked in there. I couldn't get money. So it gave me such peace of mind for those days. Because for those days, I didn't have to worry about what I was going to, that I was going to go use, because I couldn't go use. It was not possible. And that in itself gave me such peace of mind. It made me want to be clean and sober. But as soon as I got out of there, as soon as I had the option, I just fell into my old routine, even though I didn't want to use, and that's addiction. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. I want to talk about a movie review, Women Talking. It's a great movie. I don't have the cover here with me. It's about the Mennonite community in Bolivia, where some of the women were assaulted. 6 men assaulted 100 women. They drugged the women. And there's actually a trans person in this video in the Mennonite community. It's called Women Talking. I'll put a picture of the video on my community page. It's an excellent movie. It's kind of feminist, but it's a great movie. All right, you guys have a good Wednesday.